Welcome to Psych the Maven channel. It better be good now.
All right, legends. So Hanny and I thought I'd sit down in our living room and we'd do a little bit of a yearly recap. We've had a lot of highs, we've had some lows, but overall we've had an amazing year. So the year started with the Tour Down Under, which was Tour Down Under for me. The actual race itself is neither here nor there, but it's the people, it's the riders, it's the people, it's the adventure riding over to Adelaide, and it's all the stuff that surrounds the Tour Down Under, which I really love, and that's what makes it one of the best tours in the world.
Hurrah! Hurrah! Legends! We're good, man. Thanks. No, it's all good. We've had people stop and give us stuff. We've had people constantly tooting and pulling over to say hello. Absolute legend.
We saw you here. We couldn't deny you of beer.
You are a darling.
Maybe when it's summer, but I don't think so. But I don't think so.
We're kind of escorting the king to Adelaide, and it's like, yeah, it's good day. I just wanted to make sure the escorts were ready for the Maven. Yes, we're coming through Murray Bridge in about 25 minutes. Do you have the... Yes, Coopers, yes, green. No, no sparkling. You know how Maven gets with sparkling. Yes, and paw ointment for shaven Maven.
For his good.
The little Maven.
My friends, after 800 kilometres, we've made it to Adelaide.
Better off there, you know you are. It never feels right.
All right, so next up was the Indipac. The Indipac for me was a big time of my life. I quit my job after 7 years, and I've been doing, you know, when you've been doing something for so long, you're comfortable with it, you're earning good money, you're safe, and it was a big decision to quit my job to do the Indipac. But at the end of the day, I couldn't have done the Indipac without quitting my job, to be honest with you, because they just wouldn't allow me the time off work, would they?
No, and if it wasn't for the Indipac, you wouldn't have quit your job, and we probably wouldn't have gone to the Grand Tours.
Yeah, so everything sort of snowballed in a positive way from there. So day one, we started the Indipac, and it was piercing down with rain in Perth, which is very unusual for Perth. But look, it didn't matter. Like, it rained. It was going to be a tough day anyway, and it rained for pretty much the whole day into the first day.
It has been a tough day so far. It's been raining non-stop, and I mean non-stop the whole time. It's only just stopped now, but in good spirits. Look at all you legends. So yeah, I'm in York right now.
It was good as well that you were doing the live streams, because I felt like I could get those updates and I could check in and know that you were okay and how you were doing, and also we spoke, you know, on the phone or text. So I think that helps as well as a partner, kind of keeping in touch with
what's
going on.
Yeah. Look, I think for me, the hardest part of the whole ride was the first few days. We had a blockhead wind, we had rain, and the front riders, so Sarah, Jesse, Christoph, they all seemed to have skipped most of the weather. The guys at the back sort of got stuck with the headwind and the rain, and so we sort of really suffered, didn't we?
The headwinds and stuff, you could never have taken that into account. And the headwinds we've had have doubled. So, you know, you're doing 14, 15, 17 kilometres an hour. So it instantly doubles the time it takes for you to get from A to B. And even now, like I'm looking at that sun coming up and I'm thinking, okay, there's no wind now. I could go to the next town, 145 Ks. It'll take me, you know, six hours in these conditions, 6 to 7 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours, something like that in these conditions. But if the wind picks up like it was yesterday, it instantly makes it a 10 to 11 hour trip.
It was really tough days, long days. And there were multiple times when I'd ring Hannah and I'd just be destroyed, wouldn't I? Like, I'd be so down and so negative to Hannah. And there were multiple times where you were just so frustrated. She was back in Melbourne.
As I said to Roop a couple of days ago, I don't even think it's possible to make it to Sydney. Like the way it was so hard for the first week that I was like, it's not possible, is it? But now we're getting there. Like mentally, I'm sort of starting to turn around a little bit. And I feel as though it is doable. It is doable. So we'll push on. We're going to have a coffee and we're going to push on.
Mate, I'm watching this video. It brings back memories because we'd very rarely ride together. There'd be multiple guys out, sort of spread out across kilometres out on the open road, but we'd rarely ride next to each other. We'd always ride 200 or 300, 400 metres, a kilometre, the difference between us. But you could see each other on the trackers. I'll never forget this video. I was coming into the Nullarbor Roadhouse and I was so mentally broken. Like, the most mentally broken I've ever been in my life. And the night before this, I'd actually had a panic attack sleeping on the Nullarbor.
I'm a full broken arrow today. I've gone next level broken arrow. Yeah, I had some real dark times out at that bloody road, out in the bush. That little bad boy there, it took forever to get here.
Yeah, so it was in between that Border Village Roadhouse and the Nullarbor Roadhouse that we sort of slept in the dirt, and that was, for me, the toughest part. The next part of this video, or the next day or 2 days later, we took off from the Nullarbor Roadhouse, and that stretch from the Nullarbor Roadhouse to, I think it was either Nundroo or Yalata. I think it was Nundroo we stayed in. It was a 45 degrees Celsius day. It was 45 degrees Celsius.
That's right, I do remember that.
And I can't describe to you how hot that is, especially when you're riding a bicycle. And we left in the middle of the day.
The worst thing about this whole thing is it's 42 degrees right now. And there's a lot of people, I'm looking at that tracker, there's a lot of people in front of me and they're riding in 44 degree heat. And I find that absolutely fascinating. But apparently at 2 o'clock, between 2 and 3 p.m, the wind is going to swing around to a tailwind. So even though it's going to be 44 degrees Celsius, it'll be a tailwind. So, you know, these are the conundrums you face. These are the parts of the Indipac that I didn't anticipate, is working out the weather, working out the best time to do stuff, or just hardening up and getting out there. But I'm worried that if I get out there in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the Nullarbor, and I just cannot handle this heat, I don't know what's going to happen.
So anyway, cut a long story short, I made it into Port Augusta. I actually went the wrong way.
This is the air highway. I went straight down there following Jack, but in actual fact, I should have turned right down Corona Road, this is Corona Road. So, I'm here at the turn off at 3:30 a.m, something like that. I've come back out I've come back out. It's a beautiful evening. It is what it is. And I'm going to get back on the route. So it's a 40k detour. But shit happens. That's what happens, you know.
So I was so broken, like mentally broken by this stage. But to cut a long story short, made it into Adelaide, caught up with some awesome humans, had a fantastic time, had a whole group of people. Your spirits pick up as you come into the cities. And well, that was the only city I sort of came into, and that was awesome because there was people everywhere. So anyway, I'm coming out through the Adelaide Hills on my way to Tailem Bend. I was with another guy, I can't remember his name, but he was just someone who wanted to ride with me. But I'll never forget it. I saw something on Twitter and I stopped. And the first thing I did was ring Dan Wilkins from V2 because they were running the social media side of things, and I tried to ring Jesse, but obviously Jesse was being inundated with phone calls. And it was probably one of the most devastating moments that I'd experienced in a long time. I rang Hannah. I was frozen on the road. This is the part that blew me away, was the community. The community side of things. People were behind us. People were thinking about us. I had so many messages of people saying, come back to Adelaide, we'll put you up in a room. We've got a spare place at our house. I'll feed you, look after you. There was people who just offered to pay for our flights home. There was one guy who said, stay where you are at the roadhouse at Tailem Bend. I'll come and get you, and then I'm going to drive you back to Melbourne. He drove me all the way back home, dropped me off at home, and then went and stayed with his brother in Melbourne. And that really embodies just how beautiful human beings are. And this is why I say cracking humans. I'm always all on about the cracking humans things, because at the core of it, there's a lot of douchebags out there, but I can tell you now, mate, the awesome humans in this world far outweigh the douchebags. This was a pretty sad time. You know, we live streamed our response when I sort of got home to Melbourne, and we were just so emotional through that time. Yeah, but a lot of people are asking me, am I going to do the 2018 Indipac? And the answer to that is no. With Hanny, with the little baby on the way, due in February.
Yeah, there's no way you'd be doing it.
There's no way that I'm doing it, because the baby will be a month old. And for me to just suddenly go and say, hey, I'm just going to go and spend 6 weeks or whatever, however long it takes riding a bicycle across Australia, are you sweet with that? That would go down like a lead balloon. All right, so the Indipac finished, and then 2 weeks later, Hannah and I were flying out for the Giro d'Italia and the Grand Tours. So it was a really rushed time of our lives, because we didn't really plan this Grand Tours thing very well because of the Indipac. And because I'd quit my job, and obviously finishing it up at a job, there's a lot of work that's associated with that. So we really didn't have a lot of time, and I was trying to create daily content.
And all the jobs we had to kind
and
of
all the things
do.
we had to do. We had to put our furniture into storage. We had to sort of finish up with the electricity and so there's so many little things that we had to do.
Just so overwhelmed.
Oh yeah?
Yes.
So overwhelmed with what?
Everything. Look, the house doesn't even resemble ready for movers to come in.
It is, Hannah. I don't know what you're mentally, or you're just flipping out. To finish the Indipac and then to go into the Giro d'Italia was probably one of the most stressful times of our lives. Packed the house. We had to pack the place from where to go. Thanks to Ryan for helping us with that. Absolute legend. You're exhausted, aren't you?
Yes, packing up your house
Has been.
is harder than riding across the country.
And I mean, a lot of people said, why didn't you just come back in between the tours or keep your house? But it was going to cost us something like $12,500 in rent for the whole period that we would have been away, the 5 months or 4.5 months. So to only kind of come back every second month, and then the cost of a return flight to Europe every time, it didn't work out.
It just didn't make sense for us to keep our rental property and come back, with flights and things like that.
Yeah.
So we decided to put everything into storage, get rid of the rental property, and go to Europe.
exciting for the first few days. Like we had a couple of days in Rome to kind of chill out before we flew to Sardinia. And then arriving in Sardinia, that was quite exciting. Like getting this, you know, stickers for the car, the town was so cute, and there was really awesome atmosphere. And
So we arrived in Alghero. It was a beautiful town. Did you like it?
it was one of my favourite places that we went to in Italy. Like,
And we were really G'd up. Like we were G'd up for the grand tours, and we were really G'd up to bring amazing content.
you'd done the Tour de France, but they're all very different. All the tours are very, very different. You can't compare them, and we were kind of on our own, weren't we? We were
on our own. That was the other thing. There was no one that I really knew. You see, I found the Giro to be the best of the three tours.
100%.
You know, the country, the people, the Italians are so passionate about sport. But one thing we really struggled with from the onset was the lack of the ability to communicate, and especially to communicate with the riders. A lot of riders didn't speak English, or just didn't want to speak English. And so those first few stages were a real challenge for us.
We were a bit of a deer in headlights, I think that's the best way to describe it.
So one of the things we found in these first 3 or 4 stages, and it became apparent to us, that we started to get some really negative comments on the channel. Now, for whatever reason that was, we found that some people wanted race footage, other people wanted interviews, and so it was really hard for us to strike that balance.
You can't please everyone. And yeah, everyone wanted something different. So if we showed a bit of the towns and the food and the atmosphere, people were like, no, we want to see more race footage and riders and interviews. And then when we did a bit more like riders, interviews and race footage, people were starting going, well, I thought you were going to show us the towns and, you know, more of the atmosphere. So it was a real tug of war between what we should do, and we got a little bit disheartened by it, but I think for the most part, for our first go, we did a pretty good job.
Yeah, I mean, again, as I've said many times before, it is difficult to produce video content. You know, it's one thing. I'm not going to say being a reporter is an easy task. It is still a difficult thing to do. You've still got to go back, write the articles, do the interviews and stuff like that. But to create video content in an environment like this, it's an extra level of difficulty, because you then have to try to find internet speeds where you can upload large files and things like that. And it's just endless. It's all the equipment you have to carry as well. At least if you're a writer, you've just got your laptop and you just write stuff out.
I also think people forget that they see what we want them to see in a way. You know, there were moments where we'd sit down, we'd be having dinner and we'd set up the shot, and, you know, it would all look beautiful and pretty. And then once we'd got that shot, we bring out the laptops. You know, we didn't show that it was 11:30 at night, we're having dinner, and we're working, like, while we're eating, and then we leave. So you see that positive side that, oh, look, having a nice dinner and this is a really nice place. But we didn't show you the negative side or the bad side, because no one wants to see that either. It's like Instagram, all those, you know, travel shots and photos and things like that. Yeah. They aren't always what they seem.
Would you rather be here or at the Tour of California?
Oh, here by a mile.
Oh, really?
Yeah, sorry, California.
Okay.
Yeah.
These are the cards that you'll play, and you had an ace in your hand that you folded instead. Where have you been? I don't know. I just wanted to hold you on my own. I don't have another one.
I really enjoyed the atmosphere. Like, the mountain stages were really good. One of my fondest memories is when in the first few days, or the first few stages in Sardinia, where we stopped with all those guys on the side of the road, and they were having a barbecue.
Just
a little bit.
Journalist. Cheers.
Cheers.
Journalist.
Anna. Thank you.
Salute. Tutto bene? Come se va?
These gentlemen have been absolutely fantastic. I've had a couple of glasses of wine. We got cheese. Hannah is at home. We can't understand a single word they're saying, but their hospitality.
We are the best.
They are the best.
We had a great time. We weren't with them for long, but it was just really nice to kind of get in with everyone, wasn't it? And celebrate with people. Another highlight for me was when we were in Florence and staying with David and going to the winery, because it was just such a nice break from the riding and cycling, just to kind of feel a bit touristy and a bit normal again.
Yeah, it was, Florence was awesome. David is such a nice guy. And he runs a touring company, bicycle touring company in Florence. So David's got in touch with me since this. And we're going to be running a cycle tour in August this year in Tuscany, or in the region of Tuscany. He's lined up a whole itinerary of stuff for us to do. We will unveil this very soon, this tour. And if you're interested in doing a tour to Tuscany, a cycling tour, but not just for cyclists, it's going to be for partners as well.
Because they have e-bikes.
Yeah, stay tuned, because David's gonna run it, and I'm gonna be a big part of it. And were you gonna come?
Maybe, yeah. It's a luxury bike tour. Like you're doing it in style.
Yeah, it's a proper luxury bike tour. Stay tuned. We'll get back to that. So obviously there was that time when I broke my laptop. The laptop fell off the dashboard, and not only did it broke the hard drive.
Broke the hard drive.
So all the footage from the first couple of stages, or I was actually editing two or three vlogs at the time, snapped the hard drive connector, and so all that footage that's on the hard drive, I still haven't got that footage off.
And the funniest thing was, we were on the hill and it had happened, and I can laugh about it now, but you got out of the car and you literally let out this scream, this agonizing scream.
Did I?
Yeah, and people would have, I remember, because we'd gone past people, and I'm like, they'll be thinking, what the hell is that? Like,
right, that I'm editing on. I've got all of yesterday's footage, and I cannot access it because that is broken. And I've lost all of today's vlog, all of yesterday's vlog, all of the footage, all of my Premiere Pro files for it. Like, it's a catastrophe. It's a catastrophe what just happened just then. All right, so one of the highlights was getting into the commentators box at the Giro, and this is the other thing with RCS, the people that organise the Giro. They were very accommodating. You know, like whatever we asked for, they basically said, yeah, we'll give you open slather. So they took us into the commentary box, and we saw, I think her name's Gigi from Colombia, absolutely going off in the commentary box, along with Rob Hatch and others.
Mate, they all know you anyway. Well, probably not. I'm Dan Lloyd. Better get back on with my work. Get on with it. Do some work. Who's the most enthusiastic?
Definitely the Colombians.
Are they?
The rifle on the left-hand side with the long works on the but Edge goes in, but here goes Gaviria through the centre. Gaviria is there. No one with the name on it. It's Gaviria's going to do it. It's got the three for the Colombian. And Fernando Gaviria, I know, does it yet again. Colombian sprint dominance at the Giro d'Italia.
So a lot of the people were saying in the comments of this video that they can hear, when they're watching Eurosport, they can actually hear the other commentators in the background, and you can really see how close they are. I mean, it's not like this. It's a professional petitioned off bus or anything like that. It is some screens with some fold out chairs and some microphones, and that's as simple as it is.
Salute a tutti vostri, you cracking humans.
The 100th Giro.
Benito.
So what happened at the end of the Giro, we got in touch with Sail Croatia. I just sent them an email and said, hey, we'd love to come to Croatia, and if you guys can get us on one of your Sail Croatia things, we'll do some vlogs and stuff. So it was a real just last minute email, and they responded and said, yeah, we'll give you one of the trips completely free of charge if you make some video content. And it's as simple as that, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we had such an awesome time. The people on that boat were absolutely amazing. So there was this one particular woman on the boat, though, that even though I'd said to everyone, hey, listen, if you don't want to be filmed, let me know. She didn't let me know, but she also carried on like a pork chop behind the scenes. So she did a lot of behind the scenes nasty stuff, like she was just talking about us. And
Basically no one on the boat liked her, not even her friend that went with her.
like her friend that went with her realised that they weren't friends on the boat ride, right? But there's this one intro of one of the videos where we got everyone on the boat to do the intro, and she sat down to the bottom right of the intro and didn't say a word. So while everyone is going, good morning, you cracking humans, welcome to the Cycling Maven YouTube channel, she sat there like this. So because she was such a douchebag, I blurred her out in the intro.
I don't know why she sat down in the first place, to be honest, when she knew what we were doing.
Welcome to the Cycling Maven YouTube channel.
But oh my God, Croatia is amazing and I highly recommend going, and I would love to go back. I felt like we didn't spend enough time there.
Yeah, Croatia is God's country. It's another God's country. It's like New Zealand.
It's so beautiful and it's so relaxing and it's just so nice. You have to go on a boat cruise when you're there though. It's a must.
Now, the other thing of significance that happened on this trip was that Hannah went to jump off the top of the boat and she slipped and fell. And I can tell you now, I have never been so rattled in my life.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh God! Oh God! You right?
The railing was slippery, so what happened was I actually, as I went to push off, one of my foot slipped. And I didn't think I would have enough clearance. Like I thought I was just gonna fall down. So I went to try and stop myself, and that's when I knew I couldn't, and I fell and I hit the lower deck.
It could have gone really pear-shaped. She could have hit her head. That's the biggest worry for me, was her hitting her head. All right, so after Croatia, we ended up going to the UK. Now, by this stage, we were pretty tired. We really
living out of a suitcase.
Living out of a suitcase, it sort of became apparent to us that this is quite hard work. And so it was good to stay with Ross and Katie for a little while and just have a base, have somewhere to sort of situate ourselves. They were awesome. They put us up in their house and just basically doted on us. They made
a bit like home.
Yeah, it felt so much like home, and they knew that. They knew we were tired, and they really went out of their way to make us feel like we were at home. So love those guys. Love Ross and Katie.
And Mark particularly liked his pub food, as you can see here.
Yeah, so here's a picture of me eating probably the biggest, what's it?
Toad in the hole.
Toad in the hole that you've ever seen in your life. But it was sensational. We went up to Barnsley and caught up with Nigel from Cannondale Drapac. He's the nutritionist. He was equally as accommodating. He made us feel so welcome in his house. Amazing cook, beautiful family, and we had such a good time with them as well.
Yeah,
I mean,
was nice.
UK was really a highlight, wasn't it, of the whole trip?
UK was great. We were there for quite a long. We were there for 3 weeks, I think. Yeah. So.
Yeah. So after the UK, we ended up going to the Tour de France. Now, the Tour de France was a different beast altogether.
That was Esteban.
We really enjoyed the Giro d'Italia. I enjoyed the Tour de France in 2016, but...
because you'd been travelling leading up to it.
That's right.
It made it a little bit harder. But, you know, again, we got to stay with Dirk and his family, which was awesome.
Oh, yeah. So in Dusseldorf, We stayed with Dirk and his family, and again, mate, I cannot believe how sweet these humans were. We rocked up to Dirk's house. He had food like it was like being treated like a king in.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't get over how nice these humans were.
Yeah.
Accreditation.
This is my accreditation. This
Easy.
is my accreditation.
Easy.
So today is starting off quite well.
That is just great. So the guy was distracted, so they just sneaked through.
Yeah.
Yes. And here we are.
Stage 1 of the Tour de France, we got heaps of footage of riders and stuff like that, and then it was pretty much there where things went a little bit pear-shaped. We received an email from the ASO. Hanny and I have just got back to the car, but we just received an email from the ASO. The ASO is the company which runs the Tour de France and the Vuelta, and they basically said to us that they watched our Tour de France vlog, stage 2 vlog, and there's a lot of filming in the accredited areas, and basically they've said to us that unless you pay us the €15,000 fee, you can't film in any accredited areas. They knew what we were there to do, and they waited until we basically arrived and got to the thing, and then sort of took that all away from us. So it was a very confusing situation. But look, I'm not going to dwell on it. I've had a lot to say about this in the past, and in this video, I'm just going to skim over it. At the end of the day, it was from that moment that we really struck some challenges. So highlight of the Tour de France, probably the people in the press room, like a lot more English-speaking people. We had a lot more fun. We had a lot more dinners and stuff, and I think aside from all the difficulties we had with filming restrictions, we had. Did we have fun? Did we have fun, Han?
It was difficult. I think with the restrictions, it allowed us to kind of experience a different side of the tour a bit more. Probably more of how. What would you say, a regular person? You know, like...
Yeah, like a regular visitor of the...
Would experience it, because you're not going to have the access like we had.
Yeah.
Right? So we did really experience it more from a spectator's point of view, which meant we had to think outside the box a little bit more. Like we went and slept on the mountain for that night, which was cool, really.
Yeah, now that was cool, right? So probably the highlight for us was sleeping on the mountain.
Oh, Hanny's getting the gear off already.
Yeah, to just put more gear on.
So, menage a trois tonight, girls?
Yeah. Oh God, that was
It's game on.
We'll have a few wines and see what happens.
See what happens.
We went and bought a whole bunch of camping gear. We spent about €400.
Not as much.
Well, maybe €300.
It was close to 300.
Like €300, and then we ended up sort of giving all the camping equipment away a week later. But it was definitely worth it to camp on the mountain. Like, it was cool, wasn't it?
It's definitely something you have to do.
Yeah.
If you're going to go all the way to watch the tour or the Giro or the Vuelta or whatever it is, you do really need to go to the mountain. And because you get the night before, you get the whole day and then after. Whereas if you're just a spectator normally, you're standing there in your spot, aren't you, for like how many hours, and then you get 30 seconds of the racing coming past.
Yeah. You have to camp, right? So
you really
it doesn't
immerse yourself with the atmosphere. That is the only way to kind of really get that atmosphere.
Really experience it. Yeah. If you go, look, people ask me all the time, which was the best tour? Should I go to the Giro, the Tour de France, the Vuelta? I would say the Giro, right? Not 100%. If you go, you have to get there the day before or even 2 days before and just camp and just pretend as though you're not even at the tour. Just you're camping on an awesome mountain with a whole bunch of other humans and you're just drinking, you meet people.
And they have like food trucks coming by and stuff like that. And like, it's a real party atmosphere. Like,
it's a real party atmosphere. So you have to do it, really rough it. And then eventually the tour comes through and, you know, it's probably 2 hours of your life where they come through and then all of a sudden everyone's gone and then you're getting off the mountain. But what I'm saying is it's not the Giro, it's not the actual bike race that you're there for. It's the interaction, it's the experience of that camping. And that's the part that I really enjoyed.
Yeah, it was good.
All right, so after the Tour de France, we had, we were obviously a bit disheartened with our content. We met up with DC Rainmaker in Paris. Mate, that guy is absolutely sensational. He has his little cave. He's sort of based himself in Paris now. And so we hang out with him and we asked him a few questions and did an interview and stuff. Then we headed off to Morocco.
No, Amsterdam.
Oh, so we went to Amsterdam. So we went to...
Which was just what we needed.
Yeah, we ended up staying in just out of Amsterdam in Haarlem, and we stayed with Hannah's family. And they moved out of their house so that we could move in for 10 days. I think it was for 10 days.
Yeah, 7 days.
And so it was like having our own home. Now, I cannot describe to you how awesome...
Like I cooked. It was so nice to just be able to cook. Wasn't it?
And you know what?
Have
And
a
also,
home-cooked meal.
just to keep your bag in one place on the ground, like not have to pack it up every day.
And do washing and, like
Oh,
go to...
basic stuff.
Yeah.
So Hannah and I were stoked with Amsterdam. We had such a great time there. Then we flew to Morocco, and really we went to Morocco purely because we had to get out of the Schengen. Now the Schengen is a European region where a number of European countries take part of the Schengen, and you can't stay for more than 90 days in the Schengen in a 6-month period. If you're in the Schengen for more than 90 days, you can get in a lot of trouble. So Morocco was out of the Schengen, and so we thought, okay, let's go to Morocco. We've already been to the UK. UK is not part of the Schengen either, but we'd already been to the UK. So the only other place that we could really go to other than Hungary, which we didn't think about at the time, was Morocco.
But again, this goes to show that you've seen those travel vlogs and you've seen, the Instagram travel pictures.
Yeah.
And Morocco looks amazing. It looks beautiful.
If you look at someone's Instagram account, some Instagram traveller, Morocco, amazing. Here I am with my robe. Oh my God, Instagram, I'm to Morocco, drinking their cocktail and stuff. Listen, we're sold a dummy. Morocco is a dusty shithole.
No, I liked Morocco, but I wouldn't go for as long as we went. We stayed too long in the same place, and that was purely because we couldn't be bothered going anywhere else. We couldn't be bothered traveling, doing anything else. Morocco, like Marrakesh, I think it's good to go and experience. Would I go back? Probably not. I've done that. But that's kind of like Thailand. I've been there, done that. I've got no interest in going back.
Hannah was starting to get sick in Morocco, and that was where we really started to suspect that Hannah was pregnant.
Well, at first we thought I'd got Moroccan belly, and it didn't go away, and that's when we thought, And so we didn't actually find out I was pregnant until the Vuelta.
Yeah.
Until we got to Spain, and yeah.
So it was in Girona, like in the first couple of 3 or 4 days that we're in Spain, that I had my bike crash and came back to the hotel with what I thought at the time was another broken wrist. And my vision, I smashed my head through here on that side. I don't know if you can see that, but smashed my head, and I remember seeing this bright flashing light, and now the whole left side of my vision is just blurry. There's blurry lines everywhere. They did a CAT scan and stuff, or they did scans on my head. They found no fractures and stuff like that. But left wrist, we're not sure if it's broken. They don't think it's broken. They just think it's a contusion or something like that. Yeah, so we found the Spanish that it was just, people just didn't speak English.
But they tried really hard. They were so good.
Yeah.
And you'd get your phone out and you'd do the Google Translate and
like they were good people. It's just that, and why should they speak English in their home country of Spain?
Yeah.
But we found it easier in places like Italy where people could speak 2 languages as a majority, right?
Yeah.
So one thing I did like a lot about...
and we could speak a little bit of Italian at least.
we could speak it.
We picked it up. Yeah, well, we picked the Italian up a lot better than we picked the French or the
Yeah.
Spanish up.
Yeah. So it was great to see a lot of Australian young riders at the Vuelta. I interviewed a few of the boys, Chris Hamilton, and they were all, everyone, you know, when people say the Vuelta is more relaxed, it definitely is more
100%.
relaxed. Like, it was such a relaxed environment. I had the opportunity to interview riders around the bus, and so to have that flexibility with the vlogs.
And even the riders like interact a lot more with each other, like through the different teams, and it's a nicer vibe, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's kind of it's a little bit Giro as well. Like the Giros, they're quite relaxed, but
Yeah.
at the Tour de France, everything's restricted and everything's very serious, and you know, like game on.
It's game face at the Tour de France, which, you know, is quite interesting.
Laisse-moi t'imaginer.
We met some great people. Obviously, Beardy McBeard, he did all 3 Grand Tours. He's a fantastic photographer. If you haven't checked out his stuff, check it out. But Marcus, his name is in real life, he is a beautiful human being. And he had the opportunity of going home in between. He went back to Australia in between the tours. And so he quite often would say to us, man, I feel for you guys because what you're doing is really, really hard. And so, you know, it was nice for people to recognise that it was no walk in the park. It was definitely no walk in the park. And a lot of our viewers even understood that as well.
Majority,
yeah.
the sensible ones.
Yeah.
I don't wanna play with them haters. Gotta turn them down like a fader.
All right, so we're back in Melbourne now. We've got a beautiful little rental. It's nice to have all our stuff in one place and be able to have a shower and wash your clothes. You take that stuff for granted. Since the Grand Tours, I'm now doing this vlog full time. So I've had some awesome opportunities come up. Tasmania, Lake Taupo Cycle Challenge, Skoda flew me over back to Mallorca, back to Spain to do some stuff. And so there's some awesome things that have come out of this little adventure. And really, Hannah and I are experimenting with this YouTube channel and things have gone very well. So on and upwards, we are going to continue to produce amazing content. We're going to take this whole thing into a new realm with our little human on the way, due in February. And I hope you guys are happy to come along on that ride. Much love. Thanks for your support. For everyone who contributed to the Kickstarter for the Grand Tours, we're going to name you in this video at the end in the credits. But for everyone who supported us and was there throughout the Grand Tours, love you guys. Thanks for watching as always, and we'll see you in the next vlog.
That good for food, like it's beautiful as you can see. Me and Chris live on this little skinny street here, you can see, so
Yeah.
pretty damn nice here. Really good for people watching, which is really good for passing time when you're, you know, relaxing, recovering. So yeah, love it here.